Yeah, kind of. All right. So one of the big notions out of situationist theory, Van Eyck touches on this in Revolutionary Life, but it's radical subjectivity, right? If I correctly, the general idea is, right, you're living yourself authentically, unalienated by the spectacle, and that in and of itself, right, that becomes your resistance to capitalism, and good for you, right? And this sort of notion gets picked up, and it's I mean, the worst of the worst currents of American anarchism, right, crime think, like, they run wild with this shit. Like, it's like, oh my god, we've dropped out of capital, and now we've won. Like, check out our punk anarchist squats, and, you know, we've basically, you know, why even bother? Like, everybody can do this too, right? All you need to do is quit your job and jump on rooftops, and, well, there you go. These are more comments, I guess, at this point. But actually, the actual thing I want to bring up too, right? This notion of what are their desires, like, specifically. I know we've kind of like danced around this, but Lacan, right? He was around then, May '68, and they're like, yo, Lacan, like, what's going on here? He's like, well, it's simple, right? What you want is a new master. That's pretty much it. And again, I think that basically the fact is, it's like they desire something. They don't know what they desire, but in essence, what they want is a new master. So.
Is that a question?
No, it's more of a general comment. So. It's more of...
I have two things to say. One, I don't think we're ever, like, I mean, we have this discussion about authenticity or not, and I think even without having to say something is authentic, we can say that we might prefer to have our desires not mediated by bourgeois culture. And I could also say, like, I find this, like, to be an incredibly compelling and interesting topic, just because we're never going to convert the masses to socialism unless people are reached on some sort of, like, a deep emotional level, on a personal level, to this idea that there's something genuinely in it for them. And to me, it sounds like that's what this is all about. And I don't know how to connect that to the rest of Marxist theory. And to me, it seems like the biggest problem is the question of what isn't bourgeois culture. And I mean, every culture that's come before bourgeois culture, I'm not sure I can say I would prefer, particularly as a woman, that it just hasn't turned out. So, like, we don't have anything better, and we know that a lot of things are culturally based, but we don't even know what a culture that isn't terrible would look like. Is there a situationist answer to building that? Because I don't think, because our desires are so mediated, I think on a pretty deep level by bourgeois culture even now. Mm-hmm. Like, how do you build something that's different?
As far as how the situationists would answer that question, I'm not actually sure. Does anybody else know more than I do about that? No, I don't know. I mean, I have my own ideas about that, but it's not really based in situationism. So, Greg?
Do you want to take Greg, and then we can move on?
Probably the key text to look at is Society of the Spectacle, and also I believe it's literally a chapter on council communism. And the position that they have, right, is that by having council communism, you don't have representation, but you have direct presentation of political will, which avoids the alienating effects of capital, because it would avoid reification, it would avoid commodity fetishism, it would avoid any psychological fetishism of leader, right, because the direct political will would be immediately instantiated. And so, right, for the situationists, the core of capitalism and why it's actually so clever is because it allows it reifies relations among commodities to look like, or among people to look like relations on commodities. But if you have direct presentation rather than representation, then you don't run into the danger of this reified, alienated political situation. I mean, isn't that? That'd be their position.
How is that different, though? Like, the things that the Marxist philosophy that I'm hearing you talk about in the principles, how are they not normative? I mean, it seemed to me like you were criticizing situationism for being normative, and it seems to me that Marxism is inherently normative. It's saying
I would ask Chris and Nate, is it all right if I answer this? Actually, no. My critique of situationism isn't that it's normative. My critique of situationism is that it's bad. It's really bad. And its entire focus on unalienated culture and the individual and individual self-expression are bad and are not going to get us anywhere. And if we do the things that they tell us to do at the absolute best, we're going to get May 68. And for all of the authenticity one can have, I'm in it to win it. And I don't care about authenticity, and I don't care about lack of alienation. I want a revolution, and I want to destroy capital. And if that's alienated, if that's a spectacle, I don't care. So, I mean, that would be boiled down my core critique of situationism at its most brute form. Which, again, is maybe not as sophisticated as people would like.
I guess.
Actually, I want to move on.
Oh.